Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor, welcoming you out for a wonderful show, a show that's for you and about you. Those of you that work so stinking hard for your money, and you're ready for your money to start working hard for you now. You want that freedom, that cash flow, that prosperity today, not 30 or 40 bazillion years from now, but right now. So you can have that life that you love, doing what you love, being with those that you love. But guys, it's not just to get out of the rat race yourself, right? And have that lifestyle that you dreamed of, which is definitely awesome. But it's so much more than that, because as a Rippler, you can create a ripple effect in the lives of others. You can bless more lives when you are free. And so guys, I'm proud to be a part of this group, to be a Rippler with you, because man, I love what you guys are up to. I love hearing about the good that you're up to, the results you're creating, but I love also the fact that you guys are binging and sharing the show too. So I appreciate that so much. As a quick reminder, check out our website, moneyripples.com. You got the ebook on there, Beyond Rice and Beans, you can download for free today. And by the way, if you hate reading, don't worry. It's like 28 pages because I put page breaks and pictures in there. So you're welcome. It'll take you like 15 minutes. But check that out, as well as the other blogs that are being uploaded as well. All right, today I've got a special guest here, Chase Maher. Now, Chase, interesting thing with him is that not only is he a podcast host, which I definitely recommend you guys go check out his show, but the thing that's so cool about Chase is that he's a real estate investor doing the very things. And he was born out of fire. Like, he started really investing in 2008 when everybody was saying run. He was running towards the fire, right? So, I mean, Chase started doing real estate investing. He does things with San Diego, in Tucson, and even out east as well. And so he does wholesaling, fix and flipping. He's an entrepreneur and an investor all together wrapped in one. And that's primarily why I wanted to bring him on here today, because how is it that someone can actually have a business like what he does, but still have a lifestyle? Just like we talk about on the show, right? It's not just about making a lot of money, but it's about having a life too. And that's the main thing I want to talk about to Chase about today. So Chase, welcome to our show.
Chris, man, thanks for having me. I'm excited. Just had you on my show. So a little swap here, man. And you dropped a lot of value. So hopefully I can return the favor.
Oh, I guarantee it, man. Like, I can already tell just from our conversation, that's going to be easy,
For sure.
So give us some background. Like, what even led you down that path? I mean, of all the things you could have done, why would you want to go and be crazy and invest in real estate when everybody else said run, right?
Yeah. Well, I wish I waited 2 years and started in 2010, but hey, I started in 2008. I'll tell you the story. It's actually pretty good. So I'm 30 years old now. I live in San Diego, and I grew up in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I grew up in the car dealership. My parents owned a couple car dealerships. I grew up, I learned the sales, used to pick up cigarette butts, then wash the cars. Then I went to the auctions and eventually just kind of ran the show, working full-time through college. And I always had discipline with money. I always had that entrepreneurial mindset where, my dad taught me, put it away, put it away. I started buying gold when I was like 14 years old. And
wow,
I had that mindset. But I never knew anything about real estate. My parents weren't real estate investors. And when I was 18, moving out of my freshman dorm, and I saw like a lot of my buddies were going to go kind of, split a house rental near our college, Old Dominion University. Shout out to the Monarchs. And I was like, man, I got like 25 grand in the bank. Why don't I just like take 20K of that and go buy a house? And so I called up a real estate agent that I knew, and I went and bought a house. And I had no idea what I was doing. I did not know that we needed to check the market. I didn't know the world was on fire with mortgages. I bought it June 2008, and I basically house hacked it with buddies before house hacking was even like a buzzword. I rented out each bedroom. It was a 4-bedroom house. I rented out each bedroom for $500, rented out the garage for $600, covered my mortgage, covered all my utilities. And all throughout college, I lived rent free. But by June 2009, the house lost like 35% in value. But hey, it recovered. I still have it to this day, and it's a really good cash flow machine for me. And after a couple of years, I said, why don't I do it again and again and again? And fast forward to now, I live in San Diego. I fix and flip. I wholesale. I do some realty stuff here and there, and I'm still invested in properties.
Well, I think the cool thing that you did, whether you knew it or not, is that you still focus on the cash flow part, right? Like, that's the mistake I made during the last recession. I was buying properties that I thought, well, man, like if I can buy 100,000 property and it appreciates 10%, that's $10,000. But if you buy a 500,000 property, 10%, that's 50,000. So let's go big or go home, right? And then I was like, no, I'm going home. Like it was pretty bad. But mean, you still at least had roommates going in there, or even after you probably moved out, you probably still had students in there paying
Mhm.
rent. So even if it lost value, you were still getting paid.
Yeah, absolutely. The only appreciation that I bank on is forced appreciation. So
Yeah.
I don't factor in any of my underwriting. Hey, hopefully the property value goes up 3% or 5%, or here in San Diego, sometimes 10% in a year. 2015, it went up like 20% in one year. So
Right.
what I mean by that is forced appreciation. So actively figuring out ways that when I buy it, how can I increase the value of it by 10, 20, 30% within a 12-month period, refinancing,
Right.
getting my money back, redeploying it.
I like that because you want to play it safe because you're not trying to bank on appreciation. You're trying to bank on what can I do to actually control the variables, right? Control the values versus just
Absolutely.
hoping that the values hold or whatever it might be.
Yeah, I take the risk with my business and I play it safe with my investments. That's kind of my philosophy.
That's great. I love it. So tell us more about that. Like, I mean, you're only 30, right?
Yeah, I'm
I
30.
mean,
Thanks
most
for using
people,
the only.
yeah, yeah, I know. Well, tell you, come from a guy who's almost 13 years older than you, so like for me, it's like that's incredible because when I was 30, I was trying to dig myself out of a hole, right? Like I was going through the recession. But you've actually been doing this, like you said, since you're 18 years old.
Mhm.
And again, it's not something you just started doing like 3 years ago. Like I always laugh at people that come by, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm successful. I've been doing this for 3 years." I'm like, you haven't seen anything yet. So, I mean, that being said, like, what do you feel has like been kind of the secret of success for you, both whether it be for your business and or even with your investing too?
Yeah, man. I think discipline is like the most important thing, and
Mhm.
just figuring out what's your long term goal, your long term strategy, and sort of reverse engineering it from there. And it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be perfect. So if anybody's out there and they're listening, you're trying to out like, what's your life goals? What do you want to do? It doesn't have to be perfect. Imperfect action is better than taking no action. So
Yeah.
when I was 18, I bought that property. I thought to myself, man, you know, I'm going to school with some kids that are, trust fund babies. They're inheriting a bunch of money and they're kind of blowing it. And
Yeah.
they're blowing it because they don't know what to do with it and they don't have any sort of education around it. So I started studying money, and I didn't inherit any crazy amount of money. I didn't inherit anything.
Mhm.
And I told myself, I want to be educated with money. I want to make sure that this, mistake of a house that I just bought, that, fast forward, it's not a mistake now, but at the time, imagine 12 months after you buy it and the value's down 30%. You're like, crap, what did I do? So that
Mhm.
caused me to study markets. That caused me to study, market philosophy and what's kind of going on. And like I said, I didn't inherit any money. I wanted to be able to pass down money generations below me. I wanted to be that first one that when
Mhm.
I have a great great grandchild, they look at me and they think that's the one that changed the path for our family forever. But I wanted to do it in a way that they were educated and they knew
Mhm.
how to handle the funds that I passed down to them, the assets that I passed down to them, so that they stay in families forever. You think
Yeah.
about some of the wealthiest people in the world, the Rothschilds and a few others, it's a
Mhm.
family and they run that family like a business. And I wanted to instill that. So I started studying the markets, studying books, listening to podcasts, and just making the right decisions along the way. And like anything, those decisions compounded over time.
That's right. That's like what one of my old buddies, one of my old partners wrote the book, What Would the Rockefellers Do, right? And it's a big point. It's what can you actually pass on that goes beyond it. Really, you're creating your own ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
Not just for the people that you come in contact with, but really, I think one of the biggest ripple effects you could ever create is through your own family, creating that
Hmm.
legacy.
I couldn't agree more.
And the cool thing is too, I could already tell from what you had said, it's not just passing down the money, is it?
No, it's passing down the assets. So my philosophy is active income versus passive income.
Yeah.
And so I like being an entrepreneur. I love being an entrepreneur. I haven't had a job since high school. I really enjoy it. I've done a bunch of different things. So
Hmm.
anybody that's listening, if you think, oh, here's this 30-year-old guy and he's got it all figured out from 18 years old, that's not true.
Hmm.
From, 18 to 22, I was selling cars and buying houses. And then
Yeah.
from 22 to 26, I was kind of lost and just kind of living off my income from my assets,
Hmm.
blowing through my savings, traveling Southern California, snowboarding, surfing all over the world, kind of
Yeah.
figuring out what I wanted to do. And then I ramped up the active income part again in my late 20s. And
Hmm.
that instilled this like philosophy in me that if we can eliminate distractions and we can stay disciplined, we can have, some strong active income sources. We put it away properly in passive income and we live a lifestyle that is enjoyable to us, so I can do it for the long haul and not get burnt out. I saw my dad
Yeah.
get burnt out when I was young, and I saw
Mhm.
him get overweight and get unhealthy. And it made me think, I don't want that to happen to me. So I wrote down on paper what's important to me between health, wealth, and relationships. And I just kind of lived, by that philosophy that if I'm not happy and I'm not able to do the things that I want to do, what the heck am I working this hard for anyways?
Mhm.
So it's really important to me. And I definitely, I enjoy sharing that.
There's a lot right there, man. Everybody, that's a part you should probably go back and rewind a couple times and re-listen to, because there's so many different tangents we could take with this, right?
Yeah, I know.
This
I
were a longer
sometimes I
show.
ramble a little bit.
Yeah, we could create like 3 shows. That last comment you just made, and we could create all these tangents from it. I think, the thing that's more valuable, if I'm thinking from a listener's perspective here too, is youth aspects, right? I mean, one, I think I want to make a big point that you already said is I love the clarity that you're having, right? Like you're writing this down. You're saying, what is my life really about? And I think we even made this mention another time, before we went on the air, where that question of, if money were no issue, what would you spend your time doing, right? Like, kind of like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I know this. There's 60 and 70-year-olds out there that have not asked this question with, what would I want to spend my time doing, right? Like, what would you do if you hit your financial goals? And what would that life look like? And it sounds like you really kind of created an architecture behind that life, didn't you, with that design?
Absolutely. And it comes from repetition of
Mhm.
constantly thinking over and over. And for anybody listening out there, if you like constantly have the same thought over and over, you should probably follow that instinct.
Yes.
And what I mean by, if you're constantly thinking, I want to be in real estate, or if you're constantly thinking, man, I want to be able to take a snowboard trip every year, or if you're constantly
Hmm.
thinking, I want to live in this city, you should start crafting your lifestyle around being able to do that. There's a calling that you're having that you should go after that. And I truly feel that the most depressed people in the world, they're the ones that aren't listening to that calling. They're the ones that keep
Yes.
that thought in the back of their mind rather than in the front of their mind. So what that looks like to me is like purging out the things that, I'll put it to you this way, there's a lot of things that matter, but focus on the things that matter a lot. And what I mean by that is,
Mhm.
like, I would love to, be a great golfer or a great tennis player,
Mhm.
or, still play basketball twice a week, like, all these things. But what I love more is surfing. I love more is snowboarding. So I don't waste any time like trying to learn anything new. I just stay with what I know. I try to stay efficient. When it comes to food, I'd love to learn how to cook this, and this, but I just stay efficient because that mental space is better focused elsewhere. I'd rather go all in on the things that I know make me happy rather than trying to go discover a bunch of other things. And the same applies with money. So that one core active income source, and then pick a few streams of passive income. For me, it's hard assets, and just stay focused and try not to lose sight of, what you've written down and what you want to focus on, because it'll compound over time. You'll get better and better and better.
So true. Yeah, I want to go to both those points. Man, you're making this so hard on me, man, because you're
Sorry.
testing my focus right now of how I can do this. But when you mentioned about like that designing that life, right? Like really, figuring out what is it you want. It took me back to 4 years ago when I asked my wife to marry me. I said, "Hey, I want to marry you." She says, "All right, 2 conditions. One, no more kids, because 8 is enough, right? So we're not having any more. And then two, you need to make sure that every winter," she's like, "I don't care if you come or not, but every winter I gotta leave. Like I cannot do another Utah winter anymore. Like I'm done. I'm from the tropics. I can't do it." And I said, "All right, well, let's do this." And in my mind, that was something that was impossible, right? That seemed impossible. But when we really like mapped it out, like figured out how much would it really cost to do that. And, obviously, like, of course, with my business being virtual, I can do it anywhere anyways, but it was a whole mindset shift. And now I realize it's freaking easy. It's easy to do that. Like the hardest thing is now just, trying to make it all work with children. That's the hardest part, but everything else is great. And so I love that you did that. You can design that life. And once you know, it's easier to create.
Chris, Gary Keller
Mm,
talks a lot about living a life by design. And
yeah.
if we don't build a plan and then work towards that plan, we're kind of just like living endlessly and just kind of
Mhm.
wandering. And that's a
Right.
lifestyle that I didn't really want for me. So I made that decision to live a life by design.
I love it. So tell us, you mentioned about the income streams too, right? So you say you have one main income stream and then you create other income streams. Tell us more about your philosophy on that.
So active income, figure out what's that sweet spot. that you can live off, 50% or less of that active income
Mm,
and then invest the rest. And so for me,
yeah.
I figured out, what's that sweet spot, and then I want to invest everything else. And so the active income that I like kind of sets up my passive income stream. So I
Yeah.
realized that I wanted to have rental properties. I wanted to have buildings and assets. And
Mhm.
so how can I build an active income that kind of sets that up? Well, it was lead generation for distressed properties. And then I can take those properties, I can fix and flip them, I can wholesale them, I can list them as an agent, or I can
Mhm.
refer them to a realtor. So
Yeah.
those are four different streams of active income that are all built off one marketing channel,
Really just one activity. Yeah.
one activity. But just how do I simplify it and dumb it down? Uh,
Mhm.
s- Here's another thing that I learned from Gary Keller when I was an agent is what's the one thing that you can do that makes everything simple or unnecessary? And so I
Mhm.
focus on lead generation, and then how can I, maximize my use of that property? And then also what that does is I'm able to cherry pick the best ones for my portfolio.
Right.
So it kind of all builds off of that. And then from there, some other income streams, passive, that were sort of built off that. And, you know, just focusing on what that sweet spot is. So me personally now, I live off 30% of it and I invest the rest. And, based off your investment philosophies I learned from you on your show, we kind of have a lot of alignment there as well.
Yeah. I love that. I love that basic philosophy of saying, all right, how do I get myself to have a lifestyle where I'm only at 50% of my income? That's for some people, that's a stretch, right? But it's
Just
kind of
make
a cool
more.
challenge.
Yeah, you just got to make more than, if your
Yeah.
lifestyle is 10 grand, you need to figure out a way to make 20 grand. And
Right.
actually you need to figure out a way to make, like 30 grand because of taxes. So
That's right.
another reason why I love being an entrepreneur is,
Hmm.
tax saving strategies. So
Yeah.
I've figured out how can I pay the least amount of taxes legally?
Hmm.
And that's by setting up, an S corp, paying
Yep.
myself a salary, profit distributions, owning
Yep.
assets that I can write off the interest. And so that sweet spot for me, I'm able to like focus in on it more and more and not have to go too high above that because I'm saving money on the taxes as well.
It's true. I get a lot of clients where, like I get some that we can get them retired like this year, right? Others might take within 5 to 7 years, 10 years. And I get some of those clients that'll say, all right, like we got a couple deals, but they didn't have a whole lot of cash. Like maybe they had 50 to 100 grand. We're like, all right, we're making 500,000 passive a month, but we need 10,000 a month, right? And it seems like this big hill to climb. We're like, well, how do we do it faster, Chris? I'm like, well, other than just reinvesting the money you're making, I'm like, the best thing you can do is just find other ways to create more income or reduce your expenses and allow yourself to invest more faster. That is really the amplifier, right? That's the thing that multiplies it all. Is if you go from saying, oh, I only got 1,000 a month to be able to put towards buying passive investments versus, hey, I now have got 5,000 or 10,000 a month I can put towards that. It's a complete game changer. Like the numbers just become exponentially better when you do that.
Yeah, if you can think of a way to like productize yourself,
Yeah.
and what that looks like is either sell it for more, make more money, or reduce your costs, reduce your expenses. It's pretty simple. I usually opt for I like just trying to make more money because I like that 30 or 50%. I focus on the 30%. I like
Yeah.
to live a good lifestyle though,
Mhm.
like I'm not some rice and beans kind of guy. I do a lot of trips, a lot of traveling. I figure out what's that sweet spot. So do you need that, tier two or tier three above the current car you're driving right now? Do you need
Right.
that fifth surfboard? Do you need, certain things like, do you really need them?
Yeah.
And, live your life a little bit above the needs so that you're still happy and you're still enjoying yourself. But ask yourself on your purchases, like, are there certain things like, do I really need that? And then, if you do buy it, try to match that towards an investment. So anything that's a want, if I buy it, and it's 500 bucks, all right, then I need to commit to 500 bucks towards an investment. And so kind of
Yeah.
simplified it like that.
I think that's the key is that, I mean, just like you said earlier, like when you can really know what you want, right? What's really the priority. Yeah, you can still have a life that you love, but you can say, all this rest of the stuff is distraction. It's just extra clutter in my life. I don't need it. Simplify on what I really want, keep that simple life and create freedom from it. I love that.
Yeah, man.
Cool, man. Well, hey, if people want to get to know your stuff or follow you or whatever, what's the best way they can do that, Chase?
So the best way is my podcast, the Life Worth Chasing podcast. We talk about real estate, money, wealth, business strategies, and pretty much every guest that I bring on, like yourself, you were just on, I really want to make sure that they live, a life by design, that, they're not working till their eyes bleed. And so it's the kind of show that you're going to learn a lot, but you're also going to be inspired. And then if you want to get a hold of me directly, the best place is probably on Twitter, and it's at I am Chase Maher. And yeah, I'm on Twitter a lot, dropping knowledge. That's how I communicate with a lot of people, and can join me on there. And there's a lot of good, useful information on there.
Awesome. Chase, I really appreciate it. Like I said, there were so many nuggets on here. We could go like an hour-long episode and have some fun with this. But man, the stuff you've given, I recommend people listen to the show more than once just to pick up on these nuggets you've given us. So I really appreciate that.
Hey, my pleasure, man. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. Hey, everybody else, we'll put in the show notes, Chase's podcast as well as his Twitter handle. So, check him out. Check out his stuff. Great show. As you already know, like, our life is so much more than just money, right? It's so much about the kind of life that we can create. So make sure you follow his show, because that's what it's all about. And definitely reach out to Chase if you feel like that little ping of, oh, that resonated, that I needed that. So check him out. Everybody, I hope you make it a wonderful and prosperous week. We'll see you later.